Welcome back, guys. As you can see, the wood turned out really good. Once the wood dried, it definitely got lighter. This part, for whatever reason, just stayed a little bit darker than the other ones. Probably just some different wood or something, but I don't foresee any issues. Wow, I feel a little bit overwhelmed. We got a lot to cover in this video. We're going to start the wood finishing process. So if I skip around, I apologize. I'm doing the best I can. Like I said, this is my first tutorial that I've ever done, so don't really know what it's going to be like until it turns out hopefully well in the end. Just hope for that. The buttstock upper and lower handguard, I went ahead and sanded. Not a tremendous amount of sanding needed to be done. I used 3M fine and super fine sanding pads, and the reason I use the pads instead of just regular sandpaper is because they're flexible, okay, and they conform to the curves a lot better. And with the way that it conforms, and you know that you're not going to end up, squaring edges off that don't need to be squared or shouldn't be squared, and everything keeps its shape. So everything has been sanded extremely smooth with the fine and then the super fine, and then after that I just use a little bit of 4/0 steel wool just to get it really nice and smooth. So I'm going to try and show this as a close-up to the camera, and you'll actually be able to see hopefully how smooth it actually is. You can almost maybe see a slight sheen to it. So it's definitely smooth. I'm really curious as to how this part right here is going to turn out, because it's just where the laminate edge is. There's just a slight divot there, but I think it'll turn out okay. But that's the only possible issue with this, is that one spot. Everything looks good on this one. I did the same thing for all these. See, the foam sandpaper is really good for like things like this, because you don't want to square off any of these edges right here, because this is all contoured, so why would you want to mess with it? That's my 2 cents on that. Real quick as well, I forgot to mention, when you sand these pieces, there's going to be a lot of sawdust and debris, and after you sand it, what I recommend is using the tack cloth. And this stuff is extremely sticky on your skin, but for whatever reason it does not transfer on here. It just picks up all the gunk and the sandpaper residue and the sawdust. I guess you could call it sand dust. The dust of the wood is what you'll be picking up with this. One real quick tip. After you use this, if you don't wear gloves, which sometimes I don't, just because I like to actually be able to feel the stuff, but when you use this with your bare hand, your hand gets extremely sticky. And the one thing that I found, and you guys may have your own stuff that you use, but the stuff that I found that works really good, and I can thank the father-in-law for this, is this Goop hand cleaner. And this stuff is awesome. It just takes whatever's on your hand right off. And I just put a little bit on, rub it around, and it takes it off, and then I just rinse my hands, wash my hands normally. But just a quick tip for you. Again, I'm trying to give you tips that I have experienced to help you out, and this is definitely a tip that has helped me out. So now that the wood has been stripped of its finish, bleached to remove all remaining color, except this one is a little bit different color than the other one, but that's okay, and sanded, the other thing we need to do is I use blue painter's tape, because I'm going to put the blue painter's tape on the spots that I've already fitted to the rifle, because I don't want any finish getting on there that then of course I would have to go through the time spent to sand it again to get it to fit. So if it fits perfectly now, you're going to want to tape it so it doesn't get any finish on it. Okay, so we're all ready to do the one quick swipe of the red mahogany stain. I'm going to use cheesecloth to apply it. It's lint free for the most part. And just a quick tip on this too. the frayed edges, like the ones that you would cut, I always fold those in on both sides, and that'll just keep it from making any streaks or something like that. So frayed ends on the inside, and if you want, you can you fold these too. Then you know you're not going to have any problems at all. This is what I'm going to use to apply the stain. So we'll open the stain here. You can use a tool like this, which you can get at your paint stores or hardware stores, or you can just use a screwdriver. I'm going to use this because it's available to me. Some of you may know, some of you will not know. But with stain, you do not want to shake it, because shaking it causes bubbles. You want to stir it. And available to me to stir it, one moment. I'll just use a screwdriver. That always works. Okay, once it's all stirred, I just wipe off the screwdriver with the rag I'm going to be using anyway. Set that aside. And all I'm doing is I'm kind of bunching it up here and just dip it in. Real quick too, while I'm doing this, you want to have something set up so you can dry these pieces without them having the parts touched that you don't want screwed up. So I actually set up an old, I don't know, like cleaning gun vise kind of thing, and I just stuck a screwdriver through the hole, and that's what I have the butt plate on. And then I just use a manila folder, fold it over to do these. So just apply this on here. And you do want to get up on top because that does show up on the rifle. The top of that does. And it looks really dark right now, I understand that, but it'll get wiped off and it won't be that dark. Alright, so I'll put that here. Works out pretty handy. Grab an old t-shirt here and wipe it off. Okay, and I'm just wiping it off right after I put it on, because I don't want it on there too thick. I just want to get that darker color to help make the bright red color a little bit darker, which is exactly what I want. I don't want the really bright scarlet red that sometimes you see on other YouTube videos. I just think it's too red and it looks, I don't know if fake is the right word, it doesn't look like a, I don't know. I just don't like the look of it. That's my personal opinion. Okay, so we got that all stained, and I'll put it on the little dry thing I got going here. And again, I didn't use gloves. I choose not to. Call me weird, but I'm weird, so. So the wood's all stained. Okay, it's all wiped off, and then the next step is I'll show you how to mix the polyurethane mix, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we're ready to stain the polyurethane, and I mentioned it before, I'll show it again, but I'm going to be using RIT dye. Now, Bossman on the AK forum says to use 2 boxes of powder scarlet dye to get the nice blood red color, and I wanted mine a little darker. So I originally picked up some black because I was going to add some black to it, but I don't think I'm going to have to do that anymore because the stain looks like it's going to turn out dark enough where I won't have to do that. So I'm not going to use black. I'm just going to use scarlet. So we'll open these up. And from what I've seen, this stuff is pretty messy, so I am going to wear gloves for this. Okay. Go ahead and get yourself a glass jar that's resealable. I am using an old spaghetti sauce jar for this. And actually this one you don't really need a resealable one, but because this is where we're going to be mixing the dye with some acetone. He said it takes about an ounce, so an ounce to an ounce and a half. So if you think just maybe a, oh, I don't know, like a shot glass maybe. So I'm just going to add a little bit of that. I'm actually going to start out with less than I need and then add a little bit more if I need it. Okay, it's kind of just like little crystals. Okay, I add a little bit more acetone. Oops. Okay, all I'm doing here is just kind of swirling it around here. Get it to dissolve. Okay, this, your second jar, this is just a regular canning jar. I think this is actually a jelly jar, and I like it because it actually does seal it very well. So I'll make sure that this is clean. It looks like this is dissolving pretty good here. And I wonder what the best way to do this would be. You're going to want to filter out any of the crystals. So I'm just going to use a coffee filter. He used an old t-shirt, but I'm just going to do it this way. This should work alright. Here's to hoping I don't make a huge mess. Okay. Kind of evening it out here with my finger. It actually does look like a pretty nice red color, to be honest. I'm going to take a chance here and add just a little bit more acetone. Like I said, I'd rather use just a little and add more if I need it then. I'm just going to wrap this up and doesn't look like I'm going to So I'll just put that in there. Okay, so we have this filtered solution here. It's just looks like acetone and dye. We're going to open up the polyurethane, and I'm using the clear semi-gloss. And you're just going to add this to this. All of this to this. Okay. And as you can see, it's a very nice red color. So I'll seal that up. There you are, acetone, RIT dye, polyurethane, and you mix your own finish there. So we'll let the wood dry a little bit more from staining, and then we'll move on to applying the finish. See you later.